What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a vintage collection market update. And we talked about this in the last few videos. The market seems to be pretty quiet for the vintage collection, at least with regard to eBay sales. But I did find some good TVC 1.0 and some HasLab type items, some vehicles, both graded and ungraded, that sold. And I got a few graded later release TVC that were all very high grade that sold for pretty incredible prices. And I just want to say thanks to my Patreon supporters. They get my videos 24 hours early access. And I also want to thank largely the whole YouTube community who everyone that watches my videos. I want to say thanks. I'm filming this today, which is October 18th. 2023, and today marks 7 years of sobriety for me. So, I started this channel kind of after I got sober, but I needed something to do that involved not drinking, and it's a good hobby, and I really enjoy it. I've met so many great friends, lifelong friends through the hobby, and I just want to say thanks to everybody. It's pretty awesome. 7 years is a long time. If you knew me back in my old days, you probably wouldn't want to be around me. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Let's go ahead and take a look at some awesome TVC that sold. The first one is a Revenge of the Jedi offerless Boba Fett VC09. This one was unpunched US card. This seller had 3 available. One of them did sell for $265 free shipping. So if you are still looking for one of these, Revenge of the Jedi Boba Fett, obviously this is the SDCC version, I assume, since it's offerless and there's no paperwork inside the blister. So apparently he's got 2 more available, and they look to be in really clean condition, at least based on that photo. So $265, took that one home. Next up, I got a few auctions in here. This one sold for a really good deal. The Revenge of the Sith Clone Trooper, obviously a pretty outdated mold, but a great card back. I love that card back. Really great. Unpunched US card as well. That one sold in an auction for $34 plus $6 shipping. Unbelievable. VC15 unpunched in great shape for $34. That's just unbelievable how far the prices have come down. I've got a couple of Clone Troopers, 501st Legion, VC60, the original issues, one punched, one unpunched. This one was the European release because it's got the warning label, multi-language, on the back of the card back. And this one was the punched example. This one sold over in the UK for £90, which is $109 US dollars plus shipping. And then I've got an unpunched US card. And this one was a really nice example. Same seller as the Clone Trooper VC15. This seller had the 501st Legion Clone Trooper, again, unpunched US card. That one sold in an auction for $160. So big number there relative to the punched example. That was the European release with the warning label on the back that sold for $109. And now I've also got a punched and unpunched Princess Leia in her slave outfit. This is the retail release Revenge of the Jedi with the prototype Fett offer, and a pretty decent card. It looks like it had one little kind of scuff or ding to the right of the hang tab, but in general, very clean otherwise. Pretty nice example. That one sold in an auction, only one bid, for $157. And then you got the exact same item unpunched that was also for sale in a buy it now situation. And again, it was the retail release with the prototype Fett offer, unpunched, pretty gorgeous condition overall. That one sold for $320. So to go from a punched example for let's call it $168 shipped, to an unpunched example, it was, from $167, $168, all the way up to $327. So pretty big difference there for the exact same item, punched versus unpunched. Next up was an ARC Trooper. This one was an unpunched example, US card. That one sold over in the UK for £120, which is $146 US dollars. I found another one that sold maybe about a week ago that sold for $154 US dollars here in the US. So that's a pretty tight price range for the US card Expanded Universe ARC Trooper Commander VC54. How far has Cathaba fallen? Even the red bandana. And I know those of you over in the UK or in Europe, the red bandana is a little bit more plentiful than it is over here in the US. We have a lot of the Cathaba brown bandana, but this is the red bandana version here in the US. So, prior to this one getting re-released on the 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi card back, this one was always really expensive. And now look at it. This is the red bandana unpunched, really clean card. and that one sold for $78 free shipping. That's just a massive, massive price drop. Pretty incredible to see how far it's fallen. Grand Moff Tarkin, this one also has come back down a little bit. It was always for a little bit, anywhere from $125 to $175. This one was an unpunched US card and sold for $110 free shipping. That's the cheapest I've seen in a while. And if you're going to reissue, this is probably a good one to reissue and do like photoreal technology. I don't know if there's any kind of likeness issues with the actor who's obviously passed away, but to me, if they have the likeness and the ability to kind of do a photoreal technology for this figure, I think this is a good one, a good target to kind of reissue at some point, maybe next year. Lumat, unpunched US card, that's another one that's come back down. For the longest time, it was always $140. $140. It was always that much money, and this one just sold for $99 plus $6 shipping. So another really good deal there for, in fairly good condition. It wasn't perfect. It had one little kind of color-breaking kind of scuff right above the warning label, but otherwise very clean. And $99 plus $6 shipping is definitely down. Now let's take a little quick break before we dig into some SDCC items and HasLab items. I've got some vehicles that sold, both graded and ungraded. First is an ungraded mint and sealed box land speeder. This one sold for 75 pounds, which is 91 US dollars. I saw another one sell on Facebook for 80 pounds, but this one did sell for 75, and pretty decent deal there. Here is the Tauntaun. I'm sorry, I thought we had a graded land speeder. I might have covered that in the last video, or it's still at auction right now and has not closed yet. So I apologize for that. But I do have a graded and ungraded Tauntaun, both mint and sealed box. The first one is the ungraded example that sold for 75 pounds, which is $91. And then here is the graded example that is graded UKG 90%. It only sold for a little bit more money. It's really surprising that this one didn't sell for more money, given the cost to grade it and ship it to and from UKG. You would think that this would have sold for a little bit more money. But in an auction, this one sold for 104 pounds, only 3 bids, which is $126. And again, that compares to the ungraded example that sold for 75 pounds or $91. So only about, let's call it, $35 to $40 more for the graded example. That's a really good deal. Some other graded TVC, really high grade. We've got the Imperial Death Trooper on the Rogue One card back. Nice looking card there. That one was an AFA 9.5. It was not uncirculated designated, but still a 9.5 grade. That one sold for $200. Big money on that one. And then the same seller also had an uncirculated 9.5 Shadow Trooper. That one sold for $300. So really crazy prices on some of those fairly recent releases. I cannot believe those sales prices, but admittedly they are very high grade, 9.5 on the modern scale from AFA. Another set that seems to be holding its own is that SDCC 2018 exclusive for Dr. Aphra, BT1, and 000. And this one was an unpunched example, US kind of packaging. And there's obviously also an international release with multi-language on the box, but this is a really clean example, unpunched, and that one, again, sold for $110. If you remember last year, I said, buy this. This is going to go up in value. And sure enough, it has. It was going for $45 to $65, almost doubled in price over the last year. This one did sell, again, for $110. Next up, we've got another Obi-Wan Wandering Jedi that is signed by Ewan McGregor. And this one was a pretty clean example. There was another one that sold that had a crease on the card. This one was much cleaner, and it was the same seller, Star Wars Autographed Universe. So it's got the authentication kind of certificate there, and pretty awesome looking item there. That one sold for $122. What a deal. $122 plus $18 shipping. You're talking $140 for a Ewan McGregor signed TVC. That's a great deal, in my opinion. I got to believe it costs more than that to get something signed at a convention by Ewan McGregor. So that's a really, really good deal there. On to some HasLab items. We've got the Katana Sail Barge Pack-In for Yak Face. And if you remember, this one a year ago was going for $300 or more, even ungraded. This one was ungraded, but in pretty decent shape. It did have a little scuff there to the left of the Power of the Force logo that you could see, but it's minor. And otherwise pretty clean. That one was listed for $200. The best offer accepted on that one was $180. So that one's really fallen off the face of the earth in terms of price. But otherwise, a very clean example for $180 plus $10 shipping. The other items that have really fallen off are the Razor Crest HasLab pack-ins. I found 2 data points there for those of you looking still for the Off-World Jawa as well. Is that Off-World Jawa? I thought, yeah, the Jawa Elder. Yeah, Off-World Jawa Elder, which was packed in with the Razor Crest. You can see those ugly eggs there packed in below the Jawa. And then you had the Chrome Prom Grogu Razor Crest pack in. Both of the cards look to be in great shape. Those sold in an auction for $102.50. Man, that is crazy. I mean, just 3 or 4 months ago, this was going for $150, $160 for the pair. Now it's $102 plus $13 shipping. And then another one did sell in a buy it now situation for $130 plus $7 shipping. So definitely falling off in price for both of those. Again, in an auction, about $115, and then in a buy it now situation, about $137 shipped for the Razor Crest pack-ins for Grogu and the Off-World Jawa Elder. And then I also did find a few data points for the HasLab Ghost. And these, again, are pre-orders, but they are still selling consistently for about $800 right now on eBay. I found 3 different data points. This seller has 3 available. One of them did sell, but again, I did find some other data points that all sold over the last week or two for the HasLab Ghost, right around $800. And that it was free shipping as well. So $800, pretty crazy to see that. And then finally, this is an interesting one. This was the SDCC Death Star set. Now, if you remember, the full set sold here recently from Brian's Toys. And don't quote me on the price, but I think it was around $1,800. Now, this one did not include VC 66 or 67, which obviously are the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb, the 2 most expensive and desirable items. But this one sold in the UK, and it included everything except for the 2 most desirable ones. And that one sold for 920 pounds in an auction, 8 bids, which is $1,116 US dollars plus another $100 shipping, at least for those of us here in the US. So pretty crazy to see that, you know, again, you can see very clearly that the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb are missing, but it included everything else as well as the outer packaging for still $1,100. So if you extrapolate that versus the one that Brian's Toys sold last week, that one included the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb, and it sold for around $1,800. So at least the market, admittedly, it's not apples to apples because this sold in the UK versus Brian's Toys example sold at auction in the US. But, you know, if you're doing it apples to apples, you're valuing the Mouse Droid and Salacious Crumb at about $700, which seems like a really good deal, just given what those can go for by themselves. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at what's happening in the vintage collection, at least on eBay. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.